raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Start down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
Rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later gotta cut you down, sooner or later gotta cut you down. Go and tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him the God's gonna cut him down, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Well, my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, I thought I heard a shuffle of angels' feet. He called my name and my heart stood still when he said, John, go do my will. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later gotta cut you down, sooner or later gotta cut you down. Well, you may throw your rock and hide your hand, working in the dark against your fellow man, but as sure as God made black and white, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later gotta cut you down, sooner or later gotta cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut you down, tell him that God's gonna cut you down, tell him that God's gonna cut you down.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. Hope everybody is doing well out there, and it is a Christmas week. Christmas time is here. That's right, Charlie Brown. Christmas is right around the corner. I'm not going to sing because everybody seems to not like my singing, but hey, that's okay. Man, it's just a busy time of year. I hope everybody understands that. And so starting a little bit late tonight, but tonight, right after this show, we go into DEFCON 0, myself and Alpha over on Badlands. So make sure you're checking into that. Excuse me, that right there, that song you heard was a tribute to Johnny Cash, A Life in Black, And you can find that on YouTube. It's Christian Larson, Larson is how you spell that last name, Christian Larson. And one of my favorite versions of such. And if you've been scrolling through the news feeds today, oh my goodness, Donald Trump is a rapist, rampant pedophile who is running prostitution rings out of Mar-a-Lago. And gullible is not a word that's in the dictionary. So let's analyze this for a second. We're going to get in. I mean, it's back in the news feed. I don't even have it pulled up, but I want to talk about this because it actually sets the precedent for what I'm going to talk about tonight. Washington crossing the Delaware. See, there's points of logical strategy when you're trying to like understand wartime scenarios and in a context of unrestricted warfare. When we're looking at a battlefield that is anywhere and everywhere, we're talking about unrestricted warfare. Someone has to ask themselves, is if all the left, if all these famous politicians and people were innocent this whole time, and the DOJ has had this information the whole time, why wasn't this Epstein information utilized against Donald Trump in 2016? Why wasn't it utilized against Donald Trump in 2020? Why is it that the documents that you're finding, the eyewitness testimony of the limo driver, all coming in around 2019, 2020 and not previous? Why weren't these statements made to the local police department? Well, when you start to piece it together, you got to go back to a show that I did, back in March of this year, where I was talking about it. Is that Donald Trump is calling this a Democrat hoax because what happened was the deep state DOJ under Trump, Christopher Wray, Barr, these guys went in there and they worked with Jeffrey Epstein. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein was working with Wolf. He was working with Obama. They went in there and they had Epstein make up some absolute garbage and bullshit and use that to frame Donald Trump. And they held on to that compromise, waiting that Donald Trump runs again. We're going to get him. But see, we're much smarter than that. We understand that what they're doing is rinse and repeat. It's the same strategy they've always used before. Let me give you an example of this. Let me go to my news feed. Here we go. So the Department of Justice is currently looking into the validity of the alleged letter from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar, and they will follow up soon. And what does the letter from Larry say? Oh, it says, let me read this to you. Dear LN, as you know by now, I have taken the short route home. Talking about he's going to commit suicide, right? He says, good luck. We shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies and of the hope that they'd reach their full potential. Our president also shares our love of young, nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab snatch, whereas we ended up snatching, grabbing in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair, Jeffrey Epstein. The whole letter makes no fucking sense. Like, Jeffrey Epstein is going to write a letter to another high-profile person, just basically stating, hey, I'm out, I'm gone, but hey, wait, I want you to remember something about Donald Trump. Something's fishy about this. Now, as you might remember, part of this is the claim that a set of 8 of the Epstein files show that a victim stated that Donald Trump and Epstein raped her, and the limo driver heard Trump in the back speaking to Jeffrey about abusing girls. Wow, that's really interesting that made it into the Epstein files, because that's rinse and repeat. I know this case. That's the Katie Johnson case. If anybody doesn't remember this, The 1995 rape allegation against President Donald Trump. Do you remember this? Because it came up in 2016. It was actually trying to get litigated between 2016 and 2020. 1995 rape claim where the limo driver allegedly overheard Trump discussing abusing a girl with Epstein, and the victim was later found dead in Kiefer, Oklahoma, with her head blown off, ruled suicide, but doubted by officers. This appears to be a distorted or fabricated version of a 2016 lawsuit by Katie Johnson, alleging Trump and Epstein raped her in 1995 at age 13 during a party at Epstein's New York City residence. The suit was filed anonymously, refiled, and dropped twice amid threats and lack of evidence. It originated from dubious sources, including Norm Lubau, the former Jerry Springer producer known for hoaxes. No corroboration exists, no limo driver testimony, no Oklahoma death matching the description, and no mention in the Epstein files. It was reviewed by 3 judges, 2 in California, 1 in New York, all Democrats, and they found there's nothing here. Donald Trump has an alibi for all the time frames. He wasn't even in the country. And what did they do? They just misconstrued this whole story and threw it into the Epstein files because that's what they do. You gotta love this, right? Now, do you remember when somebody was sitting here talking about how everybody on X, Facebook, everywhere was out there like, Epstein was working for the Mossad. Epstein was a Mossad agent. And I raised my hand and I go, actually, he was working for MI6. He was working for Mossad. He was working for the CIA. He was working for MSS, Chinese intelligence. Remember when I said that? It appears I wasn't so crazy after all. Listen to Matt Getz right here. I got to pull it up for you first.
Well, also, I mean, we're the United States of America.
Oh, I know.
You can't even go in and out of a casino without people knowing that you're there and without it being on every camera. And you're telling me that we don't have the video of Epstein killing himself and that we're all just supposed to expect that this guy who we know, all those people who are in the admin now, my friends, they know Epstein was intel. They know he was tied to our intel. They know he was tied to Mossad. They knew he was tied to Saudi. He was a free agent. He was willing to go.
And British intelligence.
Yeah, and he was willing to go and get this compromat at a time when the British and the Israelis and the United States government needed to get people aligned with the Iraq war. And there was a worry that people would drift off and start opposing an increasingly unpopular war in Iraq. And so they got together, a bunch of people in academia, politics, media, business, and tried to get them in a compromising situation so that then everyone would stay on board no matter what.
That does not sound unlikely. But when he died, by his own admission, he said, our job is to convince the American public he killed himself and to prevent dangerous conspiracy theories from spreading. The guy was murdered. And so Barr is, by definition, corrupt. Like, attorney generals can't do that. That is.
Okay. Let's talk about that. There's 2 plausible scenarios here right now with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein's dead or Jeffrey Epstein's alive. Now, with everything coming down right now on Donald Trump, because let me tell you, this is a lot of pressure that's coming down on Donald Trump right now. Number one is that if he was guilty and he knowingly signed that bill, he's got to be the dumbest motherfucker in the world, which tells you that he's innocent. I mean, come on. But number 2, it tells you there's way more to the story than meets the eye. There's a lot more things happening that we don't understand. My thoughts, I think Jeffrey Epstein is actually alive. I think Jeffrey Epstein is in witness protection, probably in military witness protection control. He's probably somewhere in Puerto Rico or somewhere like that. I don't know, just a theory, but I think it's very plausible. Now, what we've learned over the last few days is a lot of the things that I've been talking about, how when we start to follow the pulling the string of what Epstein was doing, we start to find out that it's not really what we thought he was doing. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't out there running child pedophilic rings and human trafficking rings and getting thousands and thousands of 14-year-old girls and distributing them around the country and taking babies and toddlers and trafficking them to cartels and terrorist groups and bad people. He was not doing that. There is no evidence to substantiate that. Was he, for personal use and the use of his friends, going out there and acquiring 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, bringing them in on a massage contract, having them travel with him, and then grooming them to go in there and basically produce compromise against high-profile individuals? Yes, he absolutely was. But if you start to look at it, that leverage and strategy, that tactic, was simply for compromise, was simply for putting people in vulnerable situations to where you could use that against them and hang that against them for a higher purpose, a different reason. We go back into the background of Jeffrey Epstein. We start learning a few different things. He comes out of the Dalton School. Dalton School is Donald Barr, the headmaster. Donald Barr is Bill Barr's father. He comes out of OSS, obviously working for the CIA, most likely recruits Epstein into the CIA right then and there. Epstein goes and works for Bear Stearns. He moves billions of dollars through Bear Stearns through BCCI Bank. Okay, this is Whitney. So Mike Benz did some good information on this, bringing this back to the surface. But this is all Whitney Webb's information and research that she's done, by the way. I want to put that out there. Epstein, during the 1980s and the 1990s, he moved money for high-profile criminal elites that were in the public spotlight, people that were smuggling drugs, arms, and people. He took illicit money and moved it into legitimate business structures, and everybody got paid, including him. What do I mean everybody got paid? How do you think the intelligence agencies fund their black budget operations? They allow drug smugglers, human traffickers, and arm dealers to run wild across the world. Then they utilize them. They pump drugs into a country that allows the U.S. to go in there and promote sanctions on them and then uproot through a color revolution. They go out there and they allow Aden Khashoggi to go out there and sell armaments to both sides, Iran and the Contras. And then the United States can go in there and operate through the military and do a color revolution. It's about the control of these people at these high-level illicit crime profiles to get them under the control of the deep state intelligence apparatus. Epstein was the intermediary, the financial handler of these people. Just like if you go back after World War II, recruited directly by MI6, George Soros, something that's never talked about. George Soros, recruited by MI6, becomes a financial intermediary for clandestine intelligence operations to control money flowing from illicit crime organizations into legitimate business infrastructure. These are some of the most powerful people in the world because they control the flow of money. And we're not talking about millions. We're not talking about billions. We're talking about trillions of dollars. And here's the other part. One of the reasons why much of this stuff is never going to come out is because there are people in the world today that still sit at these positions, that are still those intermediary, those financial handlers for the intelligence operations that are going out there and moving money from illicit crime organizations into legitimate business infrastructures, then going into the economies of the world, is then going in there to fund cryptocurrency. You think the FTX scandal was just Bankman-Fried going out there and taking $1 billion loan out from his own company to Alameda Capital so he could distribute it to politicians? You're nuts. That is the surface level of what was actually happening. FTX was being utilized as a criminal, as an organization to flood criminal money into, launder it, clean it, redistribute it, bring it into Alameda Capital through loans, and then redistribute it to shell organizations as legitimate business investment. Those shell organizations go out of business with $10 million payoff, and that's how people got paid. This is their network. This is how they operate. This is the big secret. They don't want you to know how this system operates. One of the main reasons why it's being covered up, but it's not really being covered up. Because just as Alpha and I predicted and said was going to happen back in March of 2025, this was one of the biggest psyops ever played on the left, on the Democrats, and on fake MAGA. When you started to see that Pam Bondi's like, I got the Epstein list right here on my desk. And I've watched some gruesome videos. And then 3 months later, she's saying there's no Epstein list. It doesn't exist. And there's never any videos. And why would you think we'd ever release them? Elon Musk comes out after a K-fob feud with Donald Trump. Is like, Trump's in the Epstein files. The left went off their rockers. But the left was assured, the radical left were assured that the files had been cleaned up, that all the information pertaining to them had been removed, that they had installed information about Donald Trump in there. This is why you have Bill Clinton yesterday coming out and going, hey, well, if I'm in there, please release it all. You don't need to protect me. I know I'm innocent. Why the fuck would Bill Clinton say that? Bill Clinton would only say that if he has reassurances that all of his info was pulled out, that was covered up, or that he believes that Donald Trump will protect him. Now, do I think that he believes Donald Trump's going to protect him? No, I don't think Donald Trump's going to protect him. But I think what he knows is that he's been told, we got rid of it all. Don't worry. There's nothing incriminating in there. There's circumstantial stuff, nothing incriminating. And one of the other things is everything you're seeing released right now, names and pictures and everything like that, that's all circumstantial. What you should be paying attention to is money. Pay attention to the money. Where was the money coming in from? Where was the money going? Where was the money being utilized for? How was money flowing from Jeffrey Epstein to ancillary organizations? That's the real key and important part of all of this. Now, why does all this matter? It matters because when we look at the evolution of this PSYOP, when we look at what's happened from the beginning of the Trump administration to current point right now, we had the Democrats come out there and beg the Trump administration to release these documents. The Trump administration goes out there and they redact tons and tons of information and put it out there. But wait, it's almost like the Trump administration fucked up on redacting everything because they redacted it in Adobe Pro, which, if you don't know, when you throw something out there in Adobe Pro and you kind of just put a black box over the text, you can still see the text. And so all of those redactions are visible for everybody to see. And right now, everybody on X is going through all of those redactions and they're pulling up all the people's names, all of the connections. It's almost like that was a mistake that was allowed to happen. See, Donald Trump was the bait. Donald Trump was the bait in the Epstein files. Throw his name in there, put a little bit of compromise over here, make up some stories over here, throw that in there. He comes out, it's all just a Democrat hoax. It's all fake. I don't want it released. Oh, we need to secure and help these people. Then it begins to come out and people are like, oh my God, Donald Trump. I know people are like, wait, hold on. What about these people over here? What about Luke Brunel, who was quite literally running a child trafficking ring through modeling agencies where he was acquiring Eastern European girls, 12, 13, 14, 15 years of age, and moving them around the world into bondage, slavery, sexual abuse situations, everything under the sun. His clients, royal families, all throughout Europe. Oh, but he died in prison. He did die in prison very quickly, I might add. But he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Absolutely he was. Because guess who his financial handler was? Starts to make a lot more sense now, doesn't it? Not saying Epstein was a good guy. What I'm saying is Epstein was a resource and a tool. Very well connected, very intelligent. He was an intermediary middleman for illicit money derived through criminal activities to take that money through people who are producing high levels of crime. Their compliance with Jeffrey Epstein meant that they wouldn't be investigated, that they wouldn't be arrested, and they could basically walk around with impunity. Epstein would move the money from here to there, Epstein would put it into structured investments. Epstein would invest it in the science, technology, in the businesses, companies. He would move it through financial markets. He would take a portion of it. The intelligence agencies would take a portion of it, and those people would take a portion of it. It's pretty simple when you start to look at it. But to imagine that Donald Trump got all the way to 2025, and they're like, did you know Trump was in the Epstein files and he was a rapist and a pedophile? Get the fuck out of here. You want to tell me in 2016, 2018, 2020, and 2024, you're telling me that Biden administration just sat for 4 years on this information, and they're like, well, Trump was in there, but, we just decided not to release it. No. This was timed and calculated for this moment. But then the Trump administration comes in and they utilize that one strategy, that tactic, for their own benefit. Because right now, the Trump administration doesn't look really good for them. When you start to look at it in totality, when you start to look at just last week, we have a hit piece by Vanity Fair coming out about Susie Wiles, where she's like, oh, well, J.D. Vance is a conspiracy theorist and doesn't even like Trump. He's only doing it to be political. Elon Musk is a rabid drug addict, ketamine user. Donald Trump reminds me of my alcoholic father. That's the chief of staff of the White House. And you're telling me she gave an 11-month interview? 11-month interview with Vanity Fair, The Devil Wears Prada. And she never once thought, like, I wonder if they're just going to use my words against me. Of course she knew that. Of course she understood that was going to happen. Of course she allowed it to happen. Almost like it was a plan. Everything that we've seen up to this point, I believe, has been one big psychological warfare operation on the deep state, on the radical left, on the globalist from the Trump administration. I hope I'm fucking right. If I'm wrong, I will be the first one with picket signs, protesting, and getting ready for 1776, okay? I don't think I'm wrong on this. If we look at everything, if we begin to pull everything together, it's all aligning towards Nessun Dorma. None shall sleep. We're getting all the signs. We're getting all the clues. I'm going to play a short video for you because this is one the Trump team has played multiple different times, and they do it for a reason, as a subtle reminder of what is about to happen.
Look at this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's so big. He's so hot. Now, the little lion comes, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming over, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this, and they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
Never bet against Trump. Never bet against Donald Trump. Appear weak when strong. Appear strong when weak. With all the slings and arrows coming at Trump right now, the optics are he is weak, defeated, cornered, and compromised. The reality, get ready for the lion. The more and more this comes, the closer we get. Dan Scavino today on X. What did he publish? Him with Eric Trump, a 17-second video of a shot.
Got it, dude. 750.
17-second video, right on target. Think about that. Right on target. Bullseye. Almost like a checkmate, isn't it? Let me check something real quick. Nothing significant there. What else do we got here? There's more. Oh, there's more. Today, General Flynn on X. Another one. Let's read it. Attention. Oh, I'll bring it over to the big screen. Attention, the phrase United States of America has 3 keywords. Each holds a level of importance, but one reigns supreme over the others. The word united is about the cause more than the destiny. It is a profound commitment of who we are as American citizens, united in a cause for liberty over tyranny, united in our determination to remain free and strong in our deep foundational belief in our Creator. I've dedicated my career to upholding the timeless principles of liberty, providence, and resolute strength that our founding fathers so wisely enshrined in our nation's foundation, as well as a set of historic documents, mainly our Constitution. Given that, world history offers profound guidance through the lens of the Crusades, when determined defenders of Christian faith and Western values confronted formidable Islamic adversaries from the Seljuk Turks or the Saladin Abbasids. Initial division among opponents enabled advances, but unified resolve and moral conviction ultimately shaped the outcome. A vital reminder that steadfast alliance and clarity of purpose always overcomes fragmentation. Fast forward to today, and similar echoes challenge global stability. A fragile Gaza ceasefire brokered under real Donald Trump's leadership with his comprehensive peace framework holds amid ongoing violations, targeted operations against threats, and efforts towards governance reforms and international stabilizations. Regional tensions persist with Iranian missile activities, proxy rearmament concerns, and security challenges in Lebanon and Syria. Fissures in peace talks over the complexity of the situation in Eastern Europe between Russia and how many in the EU. There is little unity in the message of the method, or trust is a missing feature on all sides. Finally, the situation in Venezuela serves as a reminder that when people are unified against tyrants who do or seek to enslave entire societies, not even hell can withstand the forces brought to bear. America's role as the true beacon of freedom demands vigilant engagement, fostering alliances rooted in shared values, promoting diplomacy backed by strength, and countering radical forces that threaten prosperity and peace worldwide. And they are radical. As Jefferson and Washington taught us, enduring peace arises from preparedness, unity, and underlining principles, not from isolation or appeasement. America first doesn't mean we stand alone and isolated. It means we work hard together to unify ourselves here at home, unify ourselves around common sense and common principles and values that our founders and our forefathers fought and died for. America is a nation built on Christian principles and values, and we should be fearless about this. We should not waver nor allow other nations or cultures to dictate to how America is or should be. Every citizen has a duty and a responsibility to serve. Service is not just for those in the U.S. Armed Forces or first responders. Service can be to one's local church or community, but service is a duty we all have. Time to unify around each other, not to government, but to our Creator. As our Declaration of Independent States, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. I ask only that you always seek unity over division and divine authority over man's failures. God bless America, and my sincerest wish is as Christmas approaches, we unify around our Creator. Merry Christmas, General Michael Flynn. Now, he posted this at 4 p.m. Central. That's 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Eastern is 1700. Threat actors will attempt to divide, discourage, and distract. Ultimately, it is our duty as Americans to uphold the values our founders fought to ensure. Flynn posted this at 1700, a message to all that are listening. Q 1700. Just so is an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shewn that man are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wow. That's very similar to what General Flynn just said. Almost like there's a contextual reference frame to that post on the timestamp with what Flynn said. As in, he's given us a message that we are bringing about a new resolution of the United States, a rebirth of the United States Constitution, because this government has become destructive to its end. You are witnessing this firsthand, and we must unify right now upon our Creator, upon common accord, and serve this country once again. Very powerful. And this brings us to the 250th anniversary of the night Washington crossed the Delaware. Yeah, 1776 to 2025, 250 years. Washington crossed the Delaware. In late December 1776, the American Revolutionary cause was near collapse. General George Washington's Continental Army had suffered a string of defeats. Enlistments were expiring, morale was shattered, and British forces, along with their Hessian allies, appeared firmly in control of New York and New Jersey. Sorry, 249, but you know what I mean. On the night of December 25th to December 26, 1776, General George Washington made a desperate and audacious decision to cross the ice-choked Delaware River in the dead of winter and launch a surprise attack on the Hessian garrison stationed at Trenton, New Jersey. Despite brutal weather, freezing temperatures, snow, sleet, and high winds, Washington led approximately 2,400 troops across the river using Durham boats. The crossing itself was perilous. Ice floes threatened to crush the boats, and several soldiers died from exposure during the march that followed. Artillery was hauled across the immense difficulty. At dawn on December 26th, Washington's forces struck Trenton. The Hessians, confident the Americans were incapable of offensive actions in such conditions, were caught completely off guard. After a brief but intense fight lasting less than an hour, the Americans achieved a decisive victory, capturing nearly 900 Hessian soldiers along with vital supplies while suffering minimal losses. This victory, followed shortly by another success at Princeton, did not end the war, but it fundamentally changed its trajectory. It revitalized American morale, encouraged re-enlistments, convinced potential allies that the revolution still had life, and proved that the Continental Army could stand against professional European forces. Washington's crossing of the Delaware became a symbol of strategic patience, calculated risk, and leadership under existential pressure. A moment when defeat was imminent, yet bold action reshaped history. Sounds like something's about to happen, doesn't it? I'll read that last line again. Washington's crossing of the Delaware became a symbol of strategic patience, calculated risk, and leadership under existential pressure. A moment when defeat was imminent, yet bold action reshaped history. Yep, 249 years. I know. My math was a little bit off. It'd be 250 years next year. Think about the Trump administration right now. Appear weak when really strong. It's almost like we're about to see something happen, isn't it? John Solomon. John Brennan's lawyers confirm he is the target of a Florida grand jury probe and asked the judge to stop it. No joke. Right here. Dear Judge Alantanaga, I write this letter to your honor in the capacity of the Chief Judge of the United States District Court of the Southern District of Florida on behalf of our client, John Brennan, the former director of the Central Intelligence Agency. We have been formally advised by prosecutors of the Office of the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida that Director Brennan is the target of a grand jury investigation, NS 1840-020, in the Miami Division 2406, which is examining the circumstances surrounding the production of the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment about Russian efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election in the United States. As explained below, it has become clear that irregular activity is taking place in connection with the grand jury investigation, which is affecting our client's rights to fair and impartial treatment by the criminal justice system. One example is the violation of grand jury secrecy rules, by which information about the investigation is being leaked to the media. Another example of irregular activity, which is even more troubling and potentially harmful to our client's rights, relates to the government's apparent effort to manipulate grand jury and case assignment procedures to ensure that this investigation and any resulting prosecution will be overseen by a particular district judge of its preference. What are the odds that we see a Christmas Day indictment of John Brennan? He's not Christian, so I don't think he would mind. He's Muslim, remember? I don't think he would mind too much. But think what that would do. Think about how that victory would align with MAGA, with America First, with Trump. Go back to what this says. The victory followed shortly by another success at Princeton. It did not end the war, but it fundamentally changed its trajectory. It revitalized American morale, encouraged reenlistments, convinced potential allies that the revolution still had life, and proved the Continental Army could stand against professional European forces. Washington crossing the Delaware became a symbol of strategic patience, calculated risk, and leadership under existential pressure. I can't say that word. In other words, I've said it. I've been saying it for a little while now. You might get a Christmas surprise. I'm not gonna say I think there's good. I'm saying we might get a Christmas surprise. We might get an indictment on Christmas of somebody with a very big name. John Brennan, Barack Obama, James Clapper, Hillary Clinton. It's coming. Kash Patel said a month ago, wait till the end of the year. Things are coming. Things are happening. How we doing out there, guys? How we doing out there, everybody? We having a good time? We ready to see some shit happen? Trust me, I'll be just as disappointed and angry and mad as everybody else if nothing happens. But I think this time is different. What else we got here? Let me see. Garbage. Okay. A few different things. My middle break here. Let me go out there. I think we had some Rumble rants come in, so I want to scroll all the way back up to the beginning. And wow, you guys kicking ass tonight. There we go. Okay. So Prozac Projectile, $20 Rumble rant. Josh, you are almost on time, like 2 nights in a row. What's up? Almost on. I know, $20 Rumble rant. Thank you so much. Almost on time. We have L. Franzen 1, $5 Rumble rant. Is Canada becoming the 51st state? We can only hope so. But in saying that, we trigger a lot of people, but that's okay. We have, let me see, some more Rumble rants a little bit further down. Donna Marie B 333, $1 Rumble rant, chirping in for a Bondi Barbie wig. Who knows? Dolphin Chick on Rumble, $20 Rumble rant. Josh, do you think if Epstein is alive, we will see his face again? Will he resurface one day soon? You know, that's really interesting. If we begin to see a grand jury formulate around the Epstein information, a new grand jury formulated around the Epstein information, because number one is things are redacted for a reason. That's most likely because there's active criminal investigations into certain things. The DOJ has already admitted to this, which means that there has to be an active grand jury. Now, we did know from John Solomon about 6 months ago that there was 4 active grand juries. Southern District of Florida, we had the Eastern District of Virginia, we had one in Pennsylvania that he knew no details about, and we had one in New York that he knew no details about. I bet you the one in New York is probably Epstein. Now, does that mean that Epstein could testify? Yeah, absolutely it could be. That's why they put people in WITSEC, is specifically for that. Imagine if Epstein came forth and began to just tell his whole story, the truth in the matter. That brings down the house. And that is a possibility, a huge possibility. So Dolphin Chick, I think it's very plausible. And scrolling down a little bit more, what else we got here? Chore Boss, $100 Rumble rant. Josh, keep up the good work. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Mega Nuke, $5 Rumble ramp, 12/25/25. The date of Christmas equals 17. Oh man, we are so going to see an indictment. I think we're going to absolutely see an indictment. Going in here, just a few things, some housekeeping, as we typically call it, some housekeeping. So number one thing going over here, this is redpills.tv, guys. This is my primary website that I'm hiding behind right here. And, if you guys go over there, just subscribe over there, put your email address right in this little email thing here, subscribe. We don't send out emails maybe once a month, if that. So redpills.tv, but this is where you can connect everything with what we do. There's tons of different stuff up on here, the different shows, our sponsors, informations, and ways to support us. So if you want to follow us on all of our channels, you just go down here and there's buttons. You hit the follow me button and you can follow us on all the different platforms that we are on. And then if you want to support us, it is Christmas. Tips are tax-free. Right here, Give, Send, Go campaign, crypto support, PayPal, our Patreon community, which is socialredpill.com. Just you can get a subscription over there, or Cash App. Just ways to support us. And also up here, there's tons of information. Crypto consultation, our Red Pill merch stores linked up. Immune modulating mushrooms. That's Kristen and Kurt. Awesome stuff. And then we do have some sponsor information there. And then our Substack is actually right here. And if you go to our Substack, and I'll put that link up on the page. Quasi-active on there lately, but Trump launched first public fusion energy company. Article was just published the other day. Massive response to this article written by Sean Morgan. Highly recommend you go and read that article. And then the sovereign multipolar realignment, how a new alliance could reshape the world. Great article I wrote right here about Trump, China, Russia, and India realigning. And then obviously talking about the collapse of the EU financial system, which we'll touch briefly on here in a little while. But that's redpillproject.substack.com if you want to check that out. But ways to support us, we are 100% completely user funded. So we appreciate everything you guys do and all your support. And thank you so much for keeping us going over all these years, because it would have been really difficult to do any other way. So let's get into a little bit of something else here. Matt Getz did a Tucker Carlson interview, and he had a lot to say. Well, Matt Getz did not kill himself. I'll tell you that much. Listen to this.
This isn't a viewpoint percolating among the elites that maybe the U.S.-Israel relationship is something we have to question in its current iteration and in its current form. But this is coming to a head. And I saw the deal where, have you looked at the FARA filings where the Israeli government is paying to geofence U.S. churches so that they can propagandize evangelical Christians? I'm watching this saying, it's not going to work. People are still going to ask questions. And I still can't find any of Israel's strongest defenders who will defend that conduct. They've also, I guess, hired Brad Parscale to spoof the AI bots. I saw that and I thought at least it's like them getting grifted this time.
He's pathetic.
This isn't a
FARA filings show that Israeli government is paying to geofence U.S. churches so they can propagandize evangelical Christians. This is a foreign nation intelligence operation. It's called an influence operation against the American citizenry. How is this allowed to happen? Oh, how about this one? We'll just keep it going here. It's almost like Matt
I was shocked.
Allowed to talk about these things.
And if anyone were to sue me, a human being would have to stand up and make an accusation against me and have their name behind it. That's never happened. Who is the person who has publicly accused me of misconduct regarding women? It doesn't exist, right? It is just an op, and it was an op to silence me, and Israel was involved. And I hate to say that. I was shocked to learn it, but there was a consulate official.
Okay, this is amazing. So this is the charge that you were trafficking underage girls.
Absurd. And
I don't even know what the charge was, but that was the headline. Matt Gaetz traffics underage women. It's like, oh my gosh, can't talk to Matt Gaetz anymore.
Well, for us, the shocking moment was when my father, who's a prominent person in our community, got outreach from someone he had never met that said that there were pictures and images of me with underage prostitutes, and my dad needed to meet with these people right away. And so my dad, somewhat surprised and concerned, goes and talks to these people and says, "What in the world are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, Mr. Gaetz, we need $25 million from you to go and rescue a spy that is being held in Iran. And if you do that, we can make these things about your son go away." Which was crazy and wild. We did what any reasonable people would do. We went to the FBI and said that we were being extorted by these folks with their false claims. And we later learned that this consulate official working for the Israeli government was sending text messages to Scott Adams, of all people, the Dilbert cartoonist, saying they were expecting my father to furnish this $25 million payment, and that would be evidence of my consciousness of guilt.
For the American FBI agent grabbed on an Iranian island maybe 18 or 19 years ago.
And I don't know anything about this person. I don't know if the person's dead or alive, but it was troubling and concerning to me that someone who was getting paid by the Israeli government was involved in a criminal shakedown of a U.S. congressman. And someone went to jail for this. The person who conveyed this message to my father pled guilty to the attempted fraud. And surprisingly, there was never really an effort to figure out what the government of Israel's involvement was in this matter.
But you know that the government of Israel was involved because this was an Israeli government official who was involved in this?
Yes, a person who, his name's Jake Novak. I think he currently works for Real America's Voice, and he sent text messages.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the name of the official. And he sent messages to Scott Adams saying that he was involved in this scheme that was later deemed a criminal scheme to shake down my family.
So what
based on
happened
these
to
false
him?
allegations. He got a television show.
Come on now. I didn't know any of this. I'm not playing dumb. I really didn't know that. Have you ever talked to him about it?
I have attempted to figure out, because obviously I still have a lot of unanswered questions about why he was working for a foreign government and trying to shake down my family.
Well, what's the answer, do you think?
Well, some have shared with me their concern that this was a consequence of some of the votes and positions I took in the Congress. I represented one of the most military-heavy districts in the entire country.
I think number one.
Yeah, right up there. And I saw these wars in the Middle East that my neighbors and friends had fought in as unworthy of our best, unworthy of the disruptions in parenting and the divorces and the injuries,
suicides. Yeah.
And so I took the position that we should be less entangled in these things, and I think that really shocked a number of people who thought I would be more of a neocon coming from the district I came from. And I think that, you know, that with like the Israel influence operation, it's always fire and ice. It's always outreach followed by consequence, and then outreach, and then consequence. Even to this day, there was someone who just appeared and offered to pay me a bunch of money to go to Israel and give a bunch of speeches, and you decline those offers when you don't feel they're appropriate, and then lo and behold, it's like Greenblatt on the other side of the operation calling you an anti-Semite.
We must think about this for a second. This is what we are dealing with when it comes to foreign intelligence operations. The mere fact that a sitting congressman had this happen to him and had zero recourse through the judicial system should scare the living shit out of everyone. What I mean by the recourse through the judicial system is not that Jake Novak gets arrested for it and gets a TV show. What I mean is that a foreign intelligence agency was running an op against a U.S. congressman, and nothing happened. Think about that for a minute, because we just had three different things. Israel government is paying to geofence U.S. churches so they can propagandize evangelical Christians, right? We have $25 million extortion against Matt Gaetz operated by Israeli intelligence, and Israel walks away with nothing happening. Something's wrong with that picture, isn't there? All right, real quick, let me go through this real quick. Wanted to make sure that I got everything lined up. All right. This is for Rumble and Rumble only. If you guys are on Rumble, you should be able to see this right there, the QR code and the link. I want to share with you a quick story about a farming family supporting this channel. 8 years ago, their brother returned from Afghanistan with significant injuries. They watched as he became a shell of his former self and lost the ability to function. We can't share his exact story because of FDA restrictions, but friends kept suggesting CBD. So they tried dozens of CBD products, but nothing helped. Out of frustration, they began to create their own. They started making it to help friends, family have CBD that they knew was as clean and powerful as possible. Then doctors started asking to carry it, and it took off. Now they speak at medical conventions and help others across the U.S. While most companies have 1 to 10 compounds in their CBD oil, their oil has over 50. They have 8 things that make their products different. They make bombs, gummies, pet products, etc. They're called Emerald Med. You should check these guys out. If you get their CBD and don't notice a big difference, they'll actually provide a refund. If you want to support a business that supports our channel and free speech with marketing dollars, and if you need a source for CBD that's real, they're running a Christmas deal. You can click the link below to try Emerald Med 40% off today. Get extreme muscle and joint relief, get significant inflammation and circulation support, support quality sleep, or even daytime calm. They're worth a try at least once. Just click the link below and use the code 40% off up to 2 items today. And for anybody out there, you have to go to Rumble and you'll see the links in the chat. You'll see the links in the description, as well as if you scroll back to that part of the show, you'll see them over there. Erdogan of Turkey draws a line. Turkey moves in alliance with Lebanon against Israel. What's happening on the southern doorstep of Turkey is a serious threat. Israel is teaming up with Cyprus, keeping troops on Lebanese land after a ceasefire, and is growing its military presence near Turkish influence zones. That's why Erdogan is stepping in, warning that Turkey won't stay quiet while Israel flexes on Lebanon and tries to corner Turkish power in that region. This is about control, borders, and who gets to call the shots in the Eastern Mediterranean. Erdogan told Lebanon's president, Aoun, that Turkey stands ready to back Lebanon's security while blasting Israel's ongoing military presence near the Lebanese border. The call comes just weeks after Lebanon accused Israel of breaking the 2024 ceasefire deal, which followed more than a year of border strikes that killed over 4,000 and injured 17,000. Turkey is stepping in with clear intent to protect power in the Eastern Mediterranean and position itself as a dominant force in regional security. Erdogan not only offered support for Lebanon's stability, but also reminded Aoun and Ankara expects Beirut to defend Turkish Cypriot interests, signaling that nothing in the region is isolated anymore. Now, this is kind of interesting because I want to kind of tie this together with some things. Number one is you had Colonel McGregor, Douglas McGregor, a few months back talking about how the southern part of Ukraine is actually being taken over by a lot of Ukrainian Jewish settlements and by various different types of Jewish settlements. And that people who used to live there are being kicked out. I don't know if there's any confirmation of that whatsoever. But we see that there is a lot of Zionist influence within Ukraine. But keep that in mind for just a second. 2 weeks ago, we had 3 Turkish ships in harbor in Ukraine that were supposedly hit by Russian drones. Russia immediately said that wasn't us. They said, oh, yeah, they're Russian drones. Russia said that wasn't them. But they were Turkish ships. Just today, a Turkish-flagged cargo ship traveling from Ukraine to Turkey was hit by kamikaze drones in international waters on the Black Sea. Blamed on Russia. Now, Russia and Turkey, Erdogan and Putin, actually have a fairly decent relationship. They have a good economic relationship. Now, I'm going to go into a few more things. Today, a Russian general was blown up in Moscow. Putin's inner circle is shrinking fast. Vanel Savarov, the top Russian general with ties to military intelligence to Putin's war machine, was killed by a car bomb in the heart of Moscow on Monday. Today, another explosion in Moscow, Russian site where Russian Army Lieutenant Savarov was killed. You go back 4 months, another Russian general killed. You go back a few more months, another Russian general killed. And, you know, it's funny because nobody's saying anything about this. Now, does Ukraine have the intelligence capabilities to go out there and run a assassination operation to take out a Russian general? They would. They do have that capability. But I want you to understand something about that capability. That if Zelensky and Ukraine were out there running intelligence operations inside Russia to kill Russian generals, Putin would kill Zelensky. Putin would just start bombing the shit out of Kyiv. We haven't seen that happen, which makes you wonder what's really going on in Russia. Who's killing these Russian generals? Why are Russian drones kamikazing into Turkish ships? The biggest enemy in the Middle East right now to Israel is not Iran. By the way, one of Iran's most powerful allies is Russia. Keep that in mind. one of the most powerful allies of the West, NATO member and NATO ally, Turkey and Egypt. Israel, Turkey, and Egypt, they don't like each other. They don't like each other at all. This is one of the reasons why we know that the Abraham Accords will never happen and why the Gaza ceasefire is actually going to fail. Because part of the Gaza ceasefire requires ISF soldiers to come in just outside of the of Gaza, and that the ISF soldiers will be made up of foreign military, foreign police force, primarily Turkey and Jordan and Egypt. Israel doesn't like that. Netanyahu does not like that one bit and wants nothing to do with that. We just saw Erdogan has drawn the line. Turkey moves in alliance with Lebanon against Israel. Erdogan has warned Israel multiple different times. Fuck around and find out. 36 Islamic nations came together in a League of Islamic Nations against Israel in the genocide in Gaza and said to Netanyahu, if you continue the progression against Iran, we will definitely fuck you up. That came in the backing of Pakistan. Now, as much as I want to think that these false flags on the Turkish vessels are actually coming from NATO or the EU, I don't think they need to. See, it actually benefits Israel. That it'd almost be that it's Israel killing Russian generals, that it's Israel launching fake Russian kamikaze drones in the Turkish vessels. Why? Number one is it perpetuates the Ukrainian war. It keeps Russia and Ukraine engaged in warfare. Number two is that it could implement Article 5. If any of these things get out, Article 5, which then puts all of NATO at war with Russia. So if NATO went to war with Russia, now Turkey is pulled into direct conflict in Eastern Europe against Russia. And see, that's beneficial to Israel in two different points. Number one is it weakens Iran. Weakens Iran because Russia is now in full-fledged, full-scale war with Europe. Number two is it weakens Turkey because Turkey is not capable necessarily of fighting a dual-fronted war with protecting Lebanon and other Islamic nations within those border areas against Israel. I'm just stating the obvious from a military perspective. I don't know if I'm right on this, but I always have to look at certain things that happen, and you have to look at why. Why would Russia kamikaze drone Turkish vessels in the Black Sea and in port? It makes no sense. That is an act of war against Turkey, a NATO member. That's like suicide for Russia. Russia doesn't want war. They've already expressed this. They're not sending Kirill Dmitriev down to Miami or other representatives with the Trump administration or a meeting with Putin and the Trump administration in Russia to discuss peace when they really want war with NATO. So you have to look at things that in this world of confusion and distraction, what makes sense and what benefits other people. Now, Russia is a strong ally of Iran, is helping Iran build back their ballistic missile strategies. Turkey is one of the largest progressors against Israel in the Middle East. They want them eradicated. They want them out of there as well as Egypt. But neither one of them either like the Palestinians either. That's probably the one thing they all have in common. But if you start to look at it from a geopolitical or military perspective, who benefits from progressing the Ukraine-Russia war, kamikaze droning Turkish vessels that try to instigate Article 5 in NATO, and drawing Russia deeper into conflict? Israel. Just saying. Who knows? Maybe Josh is right. Maybe Josh isn't. One part, a lot of this war is the war against the Trump administration and the old guard. The old guard I've defined as the European Union. Today, the U.S. just sanctioned European censorship figures as a major shift. For years, American tech platforms have faced relentless pressure from European regulators, NGOs, and so-called disinformation watchdogs, demanding they police speech that would be fully legal under the First Amendment. Now, the U.S. government is pushing back, and hard. In a dramatic escalation, Undersecretary of State Sarah B. Rogers announced a new wave of visa sanctions against foreign actors accused of orchestrating or enabling censorship of Americans. The move directly targets what the Trump administration is calling a censorship industrial complex. They aren't just symbolic names among the sanction. Thierry Breton, the architect of EU's Digital Services Act. Imran Ahmed, head of the Center for Countering Digital Hate, a group worked closely with U.S. agencies under the Biden White House. Claire Melford, CEO of Global Disinformation Index, a UK-based group that blacklists websites for ad revenue under vague claims of hate speech. Annalena von Hodenberg, founder of Hate Aid, a German NGO with formal censorship. These sanctions aren't financial yet, but they send a message the U.S. will no longer tolerate foreign attempts to suppress American speech under the guise of safety and misinformation. European laws and NGOs have functioned as a backdoor to censorship, pressuring American companies to remove lawful U.S. speech and face regulatory punishment overseas. The result, American citizens are having their voices silenced by foreign actors operating through complex transatlantic influence networks. In other words, all of these NGOs and organizations are operated by that same deep state intelligence apparatus controlled in Europe by MI6. And what you just saw there was the Trump administration's first shot across the bow to them by sanctioning the visas of the top heads of certain ones of these NGOs. That sends a clear sign to Europe, fuck around and find out. But it progresses this internal battle that we've watched with the Trump administration against the European Union and against the European nations, the old guard, and the financial dynasties. You got to remember, one thing about the London bankers, the large financial infrastructure operating in this country, is it operates primarily through the influence of think tanks, NGOs, and transnational organizations. That is their might, their punch, their strong side. And as we begin to dismantle that infrastructure, it becomes crumbling down. And this is what we're seeing with the Trump administration, primarily focused on Europe. All right, what do we got here? I'm actually going to cover these later this week, just because they are a few things on alternative energy, and I want to save them. We actually might probably talk about them tonight. Let me go. I want to go over the Rumble rant, see if there is. I got to get going. We got DEFCON 0 coming up here soon. You guys know that. So I want to go ahead and check that out and see. Oh, I want to go ahead and get on over there at a decent time. But I also got to go eat dinner because I haven't eaten dinner yet. I saw a few more Rumble rants come through. Eric Michael 6, $5 Rumble rant. Hi, Josh. I have a feeling that you are over the target as usual, brother. Absolutely. Where we go one, we go all. Thanks so much, Eric. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. And we will see. We'll see if I'm over the target. Christmas Eve tomorrow and Christmas Day, we could potentially see something massive. I'm hoping we do. Absolutely hoping we do. All right, guys. I will see many of you guys over there on DEFCON 0. Let me kind of give you an update on how things are going to go this week. So tomorrow night is Christmas Eve and then Christmas. I think Jeff has a few shows that he's going to play. I will be doing conspiracy streams on our channels. I got old Fringe episodes that haven't been played on conspiracy streams that will be coming up in them. So I got to get them uploaded, but once they're uploaded, I'll be doing some Fringe binges, conspiracy streams over the course of the next few days. Some of them will be for Rumble Premium subscribers. So if you're on Rumble, it will be Rumble Premium subscription only. And by the way, these will only be on Rumble. So for everybody out there who wants to get in the conspiracy streams or the Fringe bins, these will only be on Rumble, and parts of them will be Rumble Premium only. We have to, as the Rumble Creator Program, we have to get so many hours in on that. So it's really easy to do it through that way. But not all of them. Christmas Day, it'll be completely open. It'll be probably 24 hours of conspiracy streams. So make sure you guys are tuning into that here on our channel. And then I'll be back with you Friday for the Daily Dose. So yes, there will be a Daily Dose on Friday. It'll just be the next 2 days. And then Q&A this week, probably Friday night. I got to validate that prior to actually doing that. So let me just put that out there. Q&A for our subscription premium members, probably be Friday night after this show. Jeff will be doing a conversation on the Fringe Friday night. I will not be joining him this week. I have a few things going on, but let me see here. If you guys want to support us in any way, shape, or form, you know how to do that. Redpills.tv is the best place to find all that information on how to support us. Don't forget to go out there and subscribe. Maria Teresa 1776 $20 Rumble Rant just came in. Merry Christmas. And guys, yes, Merry Christmas to all of you guys, from myself to you out there, to all your families, to your friends. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. And I will see you guys here on DEF CON 0 in just a little bit. And after that, I will see you guys next time. Merry Christmas. Much love, respect. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a life's prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near, the great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone, patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave, no more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time, now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"